Okay, so we're diving deep today into predatory lending.
Yeah.
We've uh, we've got a ton of information here, a lot of sources, and we really want to break it down for you guys, how to spot these traps,
Yeah.
and even more importantly, what can you actually do about it? If you find yourself in one of these situations.
Right.
The goal for this deep dive, I think, is pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
To give you the knowledge to see these predatory lenders coming
Absolutely.
and steer clear. So think of us as your guides through this pretty complex financial landscape.
Yeah. And, one thing that really jumps out from all this material is, just how deceptive these practices can be. It's like they're presented as solutions, but really they're designed to trap you in this cycle of debt.
Yeah.
So we're going to break down exactly what predatory lending is, how to identify it, and some strategies to protect yourself.
So let's just get right to it. When we talk about predatory lending, what exactly are we talking about?
Predatory lending, well, it's basically using deceptive, unfair, or even abusive tactics to get borrowers into loans that have really, really high costs. It's basically financial exploitation, often targeting the most vulnerable folks, and disguised as, like, a helping hand.
Gotcha. So this isn't just, your typical loan from a bank or, a credit union or something.
No, not at all.
What kind of loans are we talking about here specifically?
Well, we're talking about things like payday loans.
Oh,
Those, like, small, short-term loans that come with those insanely high interest rates.
right.
And they're usually due, like, right on your next payday, hence the name. Then there's car title loans, where you actually use your car as collateral,
Wow.
which puts you at huge risk of losing it.
Yeah.
And then there are even some mortgages out there, certain mortgage products, that can be predatory, too.
Oh, wow.
Loaded with fees, crazy terms, basically set up to make you fail. But the common thread here is the excessively high interest rates and terms that make it almost impossible for the borrower to repay.
Yeah. That's tough. It's like they're setting you up to fail almost.
Absolutely.
So who are these lenders typically targeting? I mean, who are they going after?
Well, the sources all point to, people who are already struggling financially, individuals with low incomes, maybe they have a bad credit history or they're facing some kind of emergency.
Right.
And these lenders, they prey on that desperation, offering what seems like a quick fix, but often ends up leading to even worse financial problems down the line.
Okay, that's really rough. So, I mean, for someone listening, what are some of the signs? How can you tell if you're dealing with a predatory lender before it's too late?
Right. Well, one of the first things you might notice, and it might even sound appealing at first, is that they advertise no credit check required.
Okay.
And while that might seem like a good thing, especially if your credit isn't perfect, a lot of the sources say this is a big red flag. It means they're not even looking at your ability to repay the loan. They're more interested in securing collateral, like your car, or just trapping you in that high interest cycle.
Right. It's like if they're not even checking your credit, what are they looking at?
Exactly.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
What else? What other warning signs should we be looking out for?
Definitely keep an eye out for extremely high interest rates.
Okay.
We're not talking about a slightly higher rate here. We're talking about rates that can reach 300% APR or even more.
300%. Wow.
Yeah. A small $100 loan could turn into $300 of debt in just a few weeks.
That's
So
crazy.
it shows you how fast those costs can add up.
Yeah.
And then you got those hidden fees and confusing terms, that are buried in the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
You might find yourself getting charged for things that were never explained, or the loan agreement itself is just so complicated it's almost impossible to understand the true cost of borrowing.
That's so hard to navigate, especially when you're already stressed about money.
Right. And to make matters worse, they often use these high-pressure sales tactics, like, this offer's only good for today, or you got to decide right now or you'll miss out.
Oh, yeah.
It's all designed to prevent you from really thinking it through, comparing offers, or getting advice from someone else.
They just want you to sign right then and there.
Exactly. And then there's this thing called loan flipping.
Loan flipping.
Yeah, where they encourage you to refinance the loan over and over again, adding new fees each time, and increasing the total amount you owe. It's a really nasty way to keep you stuck in debt.
Wow. So it really sounds like the takeaway here is if something just feels off or too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
Trust your gut and read every single word of that loan agreement.
Absolutely. And to really drive home the point, maybe we can walk through some examples.
Yeah, that'd be great. Real world examples, I think, really help people understand the impact of this stuff.
Okay, so picture this. Someone takes out a $500 payday loan.
Okay.
The terms say there's a $150 fee due in 2 weeks.
That's already a lot.
Right. That's a huge cost for such a short-term loan.
Yeah.
Now, let's say they can't repay that $650 in 2 weeks.
Right.
The lender might offer a rollover, extending the loan for another 2 weeks, but of course they add another fee. So now that original $500 loan has ballooned to $800 in just a month.
That's a $300 increase in a month on a $500 loan.
Exactly.
That's wild.
It is, and it can get even worse. Let's look at car title loans. Say someone borrows $3,000 using their car as collateral.
Okay.
Now, some of the sources say if they miss even one payment or are even a little bit late, the fees and interest can quickly become more than the remaining loan balance.
Wow.
And that can lead to the lender taking their car, even if they've already paid a good chunk of the loan back.
That's like legal robbery.
That's exactly how some people describe it. They lose their car, which they probably need for work and everything else, over what started as a relatively small loan.
So for someone listening who might be thinking, oh man, this is me, I'm in this situation, what should they do?
First things first, don't panic. You are not alone, and there is help available.
Okay.
Start by gathering every single document related to the loan, the original agreement, payment records, any communication with the lender, everything.
Okay, documentation, Connie.
Yep. Then make a list of all the fees and interest rates they've charged you.
Okay.
And write down any details you remember about misleading ads or high-pressure sales tactics they used when you took out the loan. This stuff can be really important.
Okay, so what can they do with all that information? Where can they go for help?
There are several organizations that can help. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB.
Okay.
They're a federal agency that protects consumers in the financial world. You can file a complaint directly on their website, consumerfinance.gov complaint. Your state attorney general's office also usually has a consumer protection division that handles these kinds of cases.
Gotcha.
The Better Business Bureau, the BBB, although they're not a regulatory body, can also be a place to file a complaint and see if other people have had similar problems with that lender.
Makes sense.
And then there's the National Consumer Law Center. They're a great resource for information and can help connect you with legal aid if you need it.
That's good to know that there are places you can actually go. So, I mean, ideally, we want to stop people from getting into these situations in the first place.
Right.
What are some things people can do to avoid predatory lenders altogether?
Prevention is key. The most important thing is to shop around. Compare offers from multiple lenders before you sign anything.
Okay.
Legitimate lenders won't pressure you to make a decision right away. They'll be fine with you taking your time to compare.
That's a good point.
Always read every single word of the fine print. I know it's tedious, but it's crucial. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and if the lender seems hesitant or evasive when you do, that's a huge red flag.
Mm-hmm. Transparency is a good sign.
Definitely. You can also look into credit unions or community banks.
Okay.
They often have fairer terms and are more focused on serving their members in the community rather than just making a profit.
Right.
And lastly, remember, asking for help with financial problems is not a sign of weakness. There are reputable credit counseling agencies that can help you manage debt and explore other options besides these high-cost loans.
Yeah, because these predatory lenders really try to take advantage of that feeling of, shame or desperation.
Absolutely.
But there are other options.
Always.
So the bottom line is, if you encounter someone trying to take advantage of you with an unfair loan, you have rights and you have options.
Exactly. Don't let yourself feel trapped or powerless.
Now, as you're thinking about all this, considering how these predatory lenders operate, how they target vulnerable people, and all the manipulative tactics they use, think about this. What other areas of your financial life might require that same level of vigilance?
Right.
Where else might we need to be on guard against these kinds of practices? Is something to really consider, beyond just loans.
Absolutely. Because it's out there.
It is. Be careful out there.
Be careful.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.
See you then.
If this podcast helped you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep making these videos. Thanks for watching.